1015 FM, 720 AM. KDWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. 1 full hour of wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's bring on the tag team of Andrew Fish Fain, Joe DeFalco, and your host, Mark Hoke.
Oh, baby. Sunday. Hey, you know, it's Father's Day, by the way.
Yeah, I really hate it when we have nothing to talk about.
I know.
How are we going to fill this hour?
I wonder how Father's Day is going in the McMahon household today.
Oh, good Lord.
I literally just thought of that a second ago. Good open. Thank you. You're all welcome.
It's all about timing, baby.
Yeah.
It's like he scripted it.
Possibly.
Vince is in charge of this creative.
No, not this. Yeah, this is very creative. Welcome to the Mark Hoke Show, everybody, here on KDWN 1015 FM, 720 AM. It's the station so nice, it's on your dial twice. And we're very happy to bring you the Mark Hoke Show, the #1 professional wrestling show here in Las Vegas. Planet
in all
Universe,
the world.
Maybe in the history of God.
I think so.
Who knows?
I think that he may have the only better show than we do.
There might be some people that'll argue with us. But
They'll be wrong.
they'll be wrong, which is okay. I'm Mark Hoke. Thanks for
You
joining
are
us.
indeed.
Yeah, they broke the mold when they made me.
Yes, they did. But you know
I'm
what?
breaking the mold now too. I'm getting.
But we're
chilly.
lucky because we got you, the original.
That's so sweet. You are a wonderful man, Fish.
Thank you.
Today, anyway.
Yeah.
Andrew Fish Fain sitting across from me. Of course,
Woo!
you get to. What was that?
That was a really bad woohoo.
That was kind of scratchy, and I don't know. It kind of reminded me of a dying rooster.
Yeah,
you poor guy.
I could make a comment about another word for rooster, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't want the FCC all over us.
Don't get cocky over
Yeah, that's the one.
Thank you. Of course, you get to hear Andrew Fish Fain. He won't be there this week, but on Monday nights on SportsX Radio here on
And of course,
KDWN.
the 1 week that I really wanted to be here because now we have the Warriors having won the title, and everyone talking about Steph Curry being a top 10 player now. It's just so annoying.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what we're talking about.
But yeah, just a crazy week, Fish. You were joking around that there's nothing to talk about, but there is, just a little bit.
Yeah. Even if the McMahon stuff didn't break, there's a ton to talk about.
You know, I was fully prepared on about Monday-ish. Like, oh, here we go, Jeff Hardy.
Yep.
It's Jeff Hardy time.
Yep.
Who? Now it's who? What? Huh?
And really quickly, the only thing I want to say about Jeff Hardy, which I thought was interesting, I think it was Booker T that came out and is blaming AEW to a certain extent for enabling him. And he's saying after his first match and then the match that he did with Darby Allin right before the pay-per-view match, they should never have let him wrestle after that because of how bad it was, how many spots he hit, etc.
I don't know if that's a fair statement. I guess. Well, let's mention what's going on with Jeff Hardy first, then we're going to get into Vince McMahon. But of course, Jeff Hardy had another DUI.
Third in 10 years in Florida, which is an automatic, I think, 2 years in jail at least.
He is in some major trouble. The video is actually up from the traffic stop.
That I haven't seen yet.
And this actually happened like around 9:30ish in the morning.
Which is even scarier.
Which is really bad because, I mean, there's never a good time to drink.
Right, but at least at 3 a.m., there's very few people on the street.
Right. He was doing, and he wasn't doing the speeding. He was doing the, I'm going over to this side of the road, and I'm going to that side of the road, and I'm going to swerve off. And yeah. But Jeff Hardy, of course, is, like we said, has gotten nailed for a DUI and some other crimes going along with it, including, about suspension license, driving with suspended license, all those kind of things. And this is a sad story.
Right now, a lot of people were saying that it was a shoot about WWE and whether he should go. He wasn't going to rehab, so he got fired. And it was more of a shoot in the sense that, or a work. Sorry, that he didn't really have to do that, but WWE was trying to come up with a nice way to release him. And WWE looks better now because they said, "Hey, go to rehab," and he's like, "No, I don't need it," and he did.
Yeah, it's really disappointing that no one was there to make sure that he didn't do this.
Exactly.
And, and that's on him, family, and friends.
I completely
obviously
agree.
The Uber call should have been made. Come on.
And what the shame of it all is that every time he looks like he's getting his life back together and it's getting on the straight and narrow, something happens to mess it up. Whether it's I don't want to put blame because addiction is horrible. Horrible, but come on.
And really, as much as I hate to say it, I think he is going to have to go to jail on this.
Maybe he'll see Sonny.
And it's funny you bring her up. I mentioned that last night too. That if the role model, quote unquote, for this whole thing is not Sonny at this point, where she just kept getting more DUIs and more drug convictions. She
was like 10 to 12 or something like that.
And then killed somebody just recently in a crash.
Right.
Hardy's he's got a better head on his shoulders, and he's got much better people around him, but he's still going down that road.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, he's got a lot more to lose.
Yeah, he's, family, kids. Something's got to change, and I hope that everybody that's around the Hardys are going to. And AEW has suspended without pay. That when you get through rehab and you get yourself cleaned up, then you can come back. But otherwise, you're out.
Do you think he should get yet another chance? I'm all for second chances, even third chances. But
look, if it was me, I wouldn't hire him. I just couldn't take the chance.
Right.
Look at what happened here with. They were supposed to have a triple threat match on Wednesday night for the AEW tag team titles, and I would not be shocked if they weren't booked to win them.
Absolutely.
And instead, those plans are thrown out the window, and the Young Bucks did beat the rest.
I kind of feel bad for Matt because he's left on an island now. You know what I mean? But I will say this: to hell with wrestling. I just want Jeff to get his life together for Jeff.
Yeah.
Wrestling is great, and it's an amazing career, and he's obviously a fantastic wrestler, one of the best of all time. But he needs to get his life together for him, not for anything else.
And if he does come back to wrestling, one thing that I would think that he needs to do is he's got to stop doing these crazy high spots.
Right. But that's why
I'm sure he was in a lot of. If you saw the Double or Nothing match, he was in terrible shape because he had just done that ladder match with Darby Allin, and took a beating.
Right. But that's why he needs to stop wrestling, because to me, you take away those moves, and I'm not saying he can't be a different wrestler, but it's not Jeff Hardy anymore.
Yeah, let him do your music, do your art, and be satisfied.
But Godspeed, Jeff Hardy. Just take care of yourself, dude.
And speaking of not being satisfied, let's get to the big story.
Nice segue.
Thank you. You'll note I do that much better than you do. I'm just kidding.
I did note that. So noted.
Yours are very punny.
Yes.
Yes, I just pulled that out.
So noted.
Thank you. Give me a crap there, Fish. Fish does a great job on SportsX Radio. But, of course, Vince McMahon has voluntarily stepped aside from his duties.
Voluntarily, because it was going to happen anyway, and it sounds better if you can say voluntarily.
But he has stepped aside from running WWE. Stephanie McMahon has taken his place, and this is stemming from reports that a $3 million settlement was given to a female employee that apparently Mr. McMahon had an affair with, legal secretary.
Yeah, paralegal. And the funny thing is that this forks off into so many different directions, because you have that part first, and then was it his money or the company's money? And he says it was his money, not the company's money used to pay her. Then there's rumors now that there's more of these out there that because now they have a special prosecutor, not prosecutor, that's not the right word, the special investigator looking into it to see how many more of these there are. And what I want to know, and this is why I would love to have had Joe here. I don't know if he could answer it or not, though, but he's still, for some reason, McMahon is still in charge of creative. So what exactly, other than creative, was he in control of that Stephanie will now take over and do?
Well, I mean, obviously he's overseeing all the decisions at the company. So, I don't know exactly what's on his duty list.
No, I know, but I mean, like, I'm trying to think of what else, hiring and firing wrestlers, I guess, future endeavoring.
Well, he could be doing anything. So, he's the boss.
Yeah, I know. But my point is, what Stephanie's now taking over, what does that mean falls in her lap now?
I'm sure it's more on the business.
Besides Triple H.
Yeah, obviously it's more on the business side of just, you're the one in charge. The buck stops with you. You're making all the final decisions, and the stuff goes to your desk, and you say yes or no.
And it's got to be a weird feeling because she was fired 6 weeks ago only.
It was less than that, but there's a couple other things to this story. I think one is the situation where this woman was actually given a raise during this affair. That is where I think Vince is going to get in trouble, because she was making $100,000 and all of a sudden got a raise to $200,000. Now, I don't know about you, Fish, but I don't know many places that no matter what your pay is, doubles it. That's a chunk of change.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I'd love to see the performance evaluation.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, that's true. I don't need to see those grapefruits.
Let's just say that she was the head secretary.
Wow. Anyway, and then the other issue that comes up with this to me is we are coming off Triple H getting his duties taken away running NXT. Shane getting fired after the Royal Rumble. Stephanie, who originally had said, well, I'm stepping away for family reasons, as it turns out, they threw her under the bus and said that she wasn't doing her job. They'd given her additional duties and, sales and marketing and stuff like that, and they just yanked it. And
it's like I said, it's like the McMahons made a deal with the devil, and the devil said, okay, it's 2022. It's time to pay the piper.
Yeah. And, of course, this is the Mark Hoke Show here on KDWN. Mark Hoke along with Andrew Fain.
There is more fall, because we got to mention, and he's not as important, obviously, but he's still big. John Laurinaitis, also a part of the scandal.
Yeah, and another long time off and on employee with WWE.
I don't know what role he had, but when I first read it, the way it sounded to me was that when Vince McMahon stopped having the relationship with this lady, the lady was almost handed to Laurinaitis, says, okay, now you can have a relationship with her.
And how this got revealed to the board was there was an email that went out to them discussing the situation from a quote-unquote friend of this person. And they alleged that McMahon, quote, gave her like a toy to WWE head of talent relations, John Laurinaitis, and then she became his assistant in 2021. So she had been hired in 2019. But you got to wonder, of course, the rumors of other NDAs. I'm wondering what's going on in the McMahon household right now.
Yeah,
because now you have a situation where the entire family, quite honestly, has been smashed by Vince. The marriage, Stephanie firing, Shane firing, Triple H firing.
Duties, yeah.
And they've all got to be looking at him right now and saying, what are you doing? And if you have Vince out of the room, they all, I kind of think of it as a situation like if you have an elderly parent or grandparent that's
refuses to go into a home, and
is having dementia problems and senility, and you're just like,
look,
Vince, we're sorry, but
Vince isn't that old.
Enough.
He's old enough, but
he's 76.
Yeah, but he's not 90.
No, and then to come out on SmackDown, and this really bothered me. And apparently there were a lot of people in WWE that were upset about this too. That he came out on SmackDown Friday night.
And I think everybody was expecting him to say something.
And he basically just opened SmackDown, but he gave the then, now, forever together, so with the stress on together, and just in full character, acting like nothing was going on.
Begging for support, basically.
And I said to you before we came on, what it reminded me of was from A Few Good Men, Colonel Jessup, Jack Nicholson's character.
Absolutely. And you were spot on with that.
Where he just walked into the courtroom and eventually confessed that he had given the code red and killed the guy, and then tried to walk out like, hey, you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall. And that thing, what Vince did, reminded me of the "you need me on that wall" thing. And I hate to tell Vince, and this goes for anybody, you're replaceable. Someone else can do your job. Yes, it is your company and you've been running it for 40 years. But you know what? If you screw up, you screw up.
And times have changed so much that this is such a bigger deal now than it would have been 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and especially with the company being public now.
Exactly.
This isn't back in 1983 where there were a few of them sitting around in an office and just trying to figure out, what are we going to do with Ken Patera and Tito Santana? This is a global company, thousands of employees, performers. It is, and not just being a publicly traded company as well, but it is a hugely public company where there is a cottage industry continually following it like we do. And when the Wall Street Journal picks up a story like this, this is huge news.
They've apparently, news outlets have tried to contact McMahon and his attorneys, Laurinaitis and his attorneys. They're not getting any response. No. How big a smile do you think Tony Khan has right now?
To a point, I'm sure he's sitting there saying, ha ha, to a point. But this hurts the wrestling industry, period. This is not good for wrestling, because whether Tony Khan or anybody else wants to admit it or not, they're all sitting there because of Vince McMahon.
Yeah. That I agree with.
And you don't whether
the king is dead, long live the king.
Yeah, you don't want this kind of publicity going out to the industry that you're in, no matter what.
How do you think the employees of WWE feel, or do you think to them it's like, it's like there's someone like, whether it be, Charlotte or Becky or Roman Reigns, does it matter to these people that this is what's happening? As long as the check's clear, they don't care?
I think it definitely does. And I'll throw a story out here real quick that Cultaholic had put up. There was an interview done.
I like Cultaholic, actually. I think they do a fantastic job with stuff.
There was an interview with MinMax from a podcast producer named Dan Reichert, who said this about WWE. There's a cultural fear there. Everyone is afraid to rock the boat because there's a long history of that company, of certain people up top. People get fired. People get fired on whims all the time. I survived a bunch of waves of massive layoffs, et cetera, and so on. And you just get the feeling right now that WWE is being run like a dictatorship, and then you add in the potential sexual harassment type situation, and John Laurinaitis was not the most popular with women.
No, he's going to be, regardless of what happens, he's going to be the sacrificial lamb, and his head's going to roll first.
But when Vince being at the top of the company sets the pace, and when you are the person setting the pace and you are messing around with employees and having to do a bunch of NDAs and that, then everybody in the company thinks, it's no big deal. If I do it, so what? And I would especially think that a lot of female employees in the company are probably sitting here right now saying, how the hell is he still even doing it? Right. I mean,
but I guess my question is moreover, and it's more, and I know there are obviously more female employees than just the wrestlers, just the performers, but are any of them going, I can't work for this company because of the person that Vince McMahon is?
I would think so. And Sasha Banks is out, by the way, in case you didn't hear that.
That was going to be part of the story. But other than the Vince McMahon, that was part of the big news week that we had, because Sasha was out before this whole Vince McMahon thing broke.
Yeah, and it's amazing how all this kind of funneled, because you have this story. Sasha is apparently gone. So who had just gotten in a big argument with Vince about creative, and there is apparently a lot of frustration about creative in WWE.
Absolutely.
With the performers. Then you have the reports that Randy Orton is going to be out till 2022.
Yep, 2023.
Or 23, excuse me. Cody is obviously hurt.
Out probably until about the same time.
Right. So amazingly enough, Vince just walks out, acts like nothing's going on, and then Brock Lesnar just happens to show up. He is the new person. The Undertaker used to be the guy that was inside the in case of emergency break glass case. Well, now it's Brock Lesnar.
But it's more than Lesnar, because Cena's coming back the 27th to celebrate his 20 years, and obviously it's not going to be a one-time thing. There's going to be a program with Cena as well. So they have to bring out all the big guns. But does Vince get future endeavored?
To be very honest with you, I think Vince is going to survive this.
I don't think that he should.
That's another question. That is another question. The question though is he going to be able to stay? And I think he will.
I mean, Shane can't come back, can he? Or can he?
Well, of course he could. But the issue is that apparently the way Vince doesn't have the majority of the stock, but he has a vast majority of the voting power on the board, the way that everything's set up. So the board really can't force him out.
But if the board is entirely against him, I think he'll see the writing on the wall. If the public perception, if it comes out that there's 7 more of these NDAs and he was spending money left and right for these relationships that he should never have had, then I think he's going to see the writing on the wall. He's not an idiot.
No. And the bottom line is whether it's going to hit him in the pocketbook or not. Whether you're going to see decreased ratings, whether you're going to see sponsors pull out.
There were no decreased ratings on Friday night, were there?
Everybody was ready to see Vince, and I honestly, I think it was, we had the match with Riddle and
Roman
Reigns. But honestly, I would not be surprised if the top-rated segment on the show was
the Vince McMahon at the very beginning. Yeah. I mean, I was dying to see what he was going to say. I'm like, what the hell can you come out and say right now?
Yep. So I don't think he's going to leave unless this gets a lot worse. Just on the surface of where it is right now, I think he is just saying, you know what, look, we had an issue. We took care of it. I paid for it.
I guess
that's it.
My questions about it are, A, how long is he gone for right now? I mean, is this the kind of thing that's going to be like 3 months? Is it going to be 3 weeks? Is it going to be...
Well, however long this investigation takes.
Right, that's what I'm saying. How long does this kind of investigation take?
Boy, that's hard to say.
And B, what is the breaking point? What is the point where they go, okay, we can't have Vince McMahon as head of this company anymore?
But I think that just the way everything is, I think the final decision is going to come down to Vince.
I realize that, but there's got to be a point. There's got to be a point of no returns when he goes, you know what? I can't. Is it that he had 3 of them? Is it that they had 6 of them? Is it that he used company funds to pay these people? What? In other words, there's got to be a tipping point.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to be if there's more piling on. But to me, a person like that is going to be motivated by money. And if, say, Fox Network says, what's going on? We don't want to be connected with this.
Yeah, if Vince stays in, we're out.
Then I think that's the point where...
That's an excellent point. And I think Fox has a lot to say about it. And if I'm Fox, I'm seriously considering going, you know what? The optics here are so bad for Vince McMahon that if he stays in charge of this company, not that we want to be out, we can't broadcast their product.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see. But then, of course, when you're pulling a 2.4... like apparently they did, in rating and viewers.
They're saying, do it again, Vince.
You know what they say? No publicity or bad publicity is still...
No, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, it is something else. So we'll see where all this turns out. But what a crazy little mess.
It's funny because you and I were texting back and forth from the beginning of the week. And like I said, before the whole Vince story broke, it was... oh, my God, look at all the news we have this week.
Yep. All right. So it looks like we are going to be headed to break here shortly here on the Mark Hoke Show.
Happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
Yes, absolutely. Especially you single dads like me out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
God bless us.
And is Vince McMahon a single dad?
I don't know about that. But, hey, stick around. We're going to have a lot more coming up because, like I said, Sasha's out. Hardy, yikes, so much going on. So we're going to have more for you here on the Mark Hoke Show. So come on back on the other side of the break. We'll see you there. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
Now, let's return to the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Happy Dad's Day! Do you know what I'm getting today? A bed repair.
Woohoo.
A company that the place where I bought my bed, of course, 2 of the slats broke a while back and they went out of business.
Oops.
And I've been propping this thing up and I finally said, you know what? I'm done.
For Father's Day, I'm getting myself.
I have competing repairmen coming over to fix my bed.
And give you bids?
Yes, they're giving me bids, hopefully, and a completed fixed bed. Because, it's funny because I don't sleep well on show days on Sunday. I don't know what it is. And I don't know if other people go through that.
Oh, because I work late Saturday nights. So last night, for instance, I didn't get to bed till about 3 a.m. I still woke up. I don't even set an alarm. I woke up at 5:45, like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's do the show.
Yeah, and then last night, I'll just sleep on the couch because I have the bed ripped apart. And son of a gun, I forgot that my daughter, over the pandemic, destroyed my couch. Not sleepable. And then I'm pulling my mattress off the side of the wall. And it's a memory foam mattress, so it's flexible. And it just barely, with a little bend, fit on the floor between my dresser and my bed. So I finally fell asleep at about 2 o'clock. Do I sound fresh as a daisy?
You do, and you look fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, don't feel like a daisy. Well, some days I feel like a daisy. I don't know. Anyway, just to wrap this Vince thing up, and I'm curious, I wanted to get yours and Joe's thoughts about this. Let's say Vince steps aside. He's out. Totally. Who takes over creative for WWE? Who would be the person that the rest of the McMahon family would trust?
I can tell you who, and I cannot believe I'm saying this because this is not the guy that I ever thought should have been, is Triple H. Triple H should be the guy in charge of creative. Seeing what he did with NXT and how popular and incredible he made NXT and how it's been ruined since it became 2.0, Triple H should be in charge of creative.
You know another name that I'll throw out? Paul Heyman.
I would have absolutely no issue with that, except for apparently, and it's only one guy, but AJ Styles and Paul Heyman, who used to have a great relationship, absolutely hate each other now. They're on different shows. They had to be put on different shows. The relationship is so strained because Styles blames Heyman for Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows being gone from WWE.
Well, yeah, but that's something you can get past, don't you think?
They haven't yet. It's been 2 years.
Well, they haven't had to. What if Paul Heyman's in charge? Yeah, then you kind of got to get past it.
No, but I think Paul Heyman would be a fantastic name.
And if you had him and Triple H as a team, that would be great. Because here's the scary part to me: that if you would just take who's in the WWE hierarchy right now, you know who that name would be?
Nick Khan,
Bruce Pritchard.
Oh, good Lord!
There would be Duke the Dumpster Drosies everywhere in WWE.
Yep. See, the funny thing is we were talking earlier, and I said you think Tony Khan's smiling. Tony Khan should also be shaking his boots because if Triple H and or Paul Heyman get in charge of creative, WWE could fly past AEW.
It would be interesting to see if there was a creative change policy, how that would go.
If all of a sudden you start seeing Sandman and Tommy Dreamer in matches,
or you start seeing things like color, blood in matches in WWE again, if it's
a little less PG,
right? Which some sponsors like, some sponsors
right. But
don't.
What I would think is, I think that Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon because of his ego, and I think his ego makes him say, "It's my way. This is the way we're doing it. I don't care if fans like it. I don't care if TV likes it. This is the way we're doing it." Whereas Paul Heyman's like, we have to compete with AEW, so we have to put a better product out there.
And that's the thing that would bug me is if I was in WWE and I'm looking across the road at AEW, I'm saying to myself, okay, how are they number one on Wednesday night? What are they doing on their shows?
They're telling compelling stories.
And that's the thing. They're telling compelling stories. The matches are generally better. And a lot of that is because the story lead up more than anything. And not saying WWE matches are bad. There's a lot of really good matches.
No, but talent for talent, WWE should be blowing away AEW.
They should. But they're not. And AEW's younger talent is getting better and better and better.
And that's why WWE needs to watch out.
Yeah. And Triple H being there, of course, everybody that Triple H had built up is gone. So, I mean, Ciampa's still hanging around and
for now, but they've booked him. He's basically a jobber.
Right. So this would be interesting to see if Vince was
this is a huge turning point for the WWE.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes.
In 15, 20 years, we're going to look back in the history of wrestling in the WWE and point to this at the same time the way we point to, the King of the Ring when Austin won in 96 and the start of the Attitude Era and as key points in wrestling history.
Yeah, I just hope Vince doesn't decide, well, we're going to make this a storyline.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
It wouldn't shock me. But I hope that he takes this seriously.
Well, the only reason why it would shock me a little bit is because he has not been a character on TV lately much. So
well, he's not as sharp as he was.
No, of course, but it wouldn't necessarily make sense if he was still doing the Mr. McMahon character. Then absolutely this would be brought in.
Just imagine though if he, while this is all going on, props himself up and puts himself in the middle of the WWE universe again. And God forbid it gets hot. Then what do you do?
Right. The funny thing is, the one thing he did do, and not necessarily for this specific instance, but he's left that side door open for him to become that character again through Austin Theory.
Correct. We'll see. Sasha Banks out, apparently.
Yeah.
This is obviously a huge blow to the women's division at WWE. Of course, backing up on that whole story, she and Naomi were not happy the way they were being booked one night on Raw and
walked out.
Got into it with Vince and apparently got into it with Johnny Ace. And
ironically, the two guys that are now out
she and Naomi dropped the tag team belts on John's desk and walked out right before Raw started. It's been about 30 days now, and apparently Sasha has secured her release. If you, Fish, are Sasha Banks, what do you do at this point? Do you call Tony Khan or do you take the acting route and say to hell with this?
It depends on how much I feel I have left. I would think that I call Tony Khan because right now she would be an absolute star in the AEW women's division.
It would be now, interesting.
She's not going to be Sasha Banks. She's going to be Mercedes. I don't know. I can't. Their last name begins with a V.
No, that's terrible.
But there's pictures on Twitter of her. She's gotten rid of the blue hair, so she's gone back to a natural hair color. And you knew this was coming. Is there an update on Naomi? Is she gone too or no?
No. And that's the really interesting part. But, of course, when you're the wife of the undisputed tag team champions who are cousins to Roman Reigns, your undisputed world universal
acknowledge
everything champion, you're probably going to be thinking twice before you ditch her.
Yeah, but not only that, but I think that the blame on this is more on Sasha than Naomi. I think Naomi followed Sasha just to show for a show of solidarity, not Naomi saying we should do this.
Right. Varnado. Pardon me.
And that's how you will, when she comes back, that's how you will see her, as Mercedes Varnado.
Yeah.
And I think now Paige, I think you'll see on Impact before you'd see on AEW, but I think you see Sasha or Mercedes on AEW.
Yeah, Paige, of course, if you hadn't heard that story, she's been working for WWE ever since her neck injury, and her contract is not being renewed.
July 7th, I think, is her last day.
So she's going to be gone from WWE in a few weeks, and she wants to wrestle very badly. She thinks she's in good enough shape to do it, and it kind of reminds you of the Bryan Danielson story. that, when he was Daniel Bryan in WWE, that he could not get cleared by the WWE medical staff. They would not clear him.
Well, I'd rather have my
100 doctors saying you're okay, he's okay, but they wouldn't clear him.
I'd still rather have my doctor err on the side of caution.
Oh,
there.
absolutely. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
But I think Paige ends up in Impact, and I think that Sasha ends up in, at least for a couple of years, AEW before she goes the full Hollywood route.
See, the funny thing for me is that if I were Tony Khan, I would almost rather get Paige. She's more fresh. She hasn't wrestled for a long time. People love her, and Sasha gets a little bit of a rep. I think I'd rather deal with Paige than Sasha Banks, to be honest with you.
And I have to ask this. This has got nothing to do with Sasha per se, but where is Bayley?
Still out.
She was supposed to be back in time for the Royal Rumble, and that was 6 months ago.
Well, that was a rumor, but she's rehabbing a knee injury. She was supposed to be out for nearly a year.
It's been over a year.
So who knows? Who knows what?
Because it hasn't been over a year. I'm sorry, it was right before SummerSlam. Because remember, originally it was supposed to be Bayley and Bianca Belair at SummerSlam, and then it got switched, and it was Carmella, and then Carmella got booted for Ronda Rousey. Yeah. Oh no, then it was Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks couldn't make it, and then Ronda Rousey came back.
Yeah,
or Becky Lynch came back. Sorry,
the WWE Women's Division is just falling apart,
and it went from a position of strength to what it is now, which is horrible. Which is why one reason why I'm glad Stephanie's back, because she's the one that made this women's division what it is.
And John Laurinaitis, not a
big fan,
and it's amazing how things have fallen off there since he came back. What a shock!
I'm hoping that gets fixed now.
Well, let's hope so. But
it'll be interesting to see if any of the day-to-day stuff changes and how quickly it does in the WWE.
And, it's funny because with all this happening and then Jeff Hardy, we had new tag team champions in AEW.
Yes, we did.
The Young Bucks, another great match.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable.
And that's what stinks about all this is the matches we had this week, because we had some fantastic matches. The Riddle Reigns match was phenomenal.
Dax Harwood and Will Ospreay.
Fantastic.
As we're getting ready for Forbidden Door coming up here at the end of the month.
That's next week.
From AEW. 10 days?
The 26th, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right. So Forbidden Door is going to be hitting us here pretty soon.
And you know me, I'm not an AEW guy, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is going to be something. You got to come over to the house and watch.
I may have to.
Yeah.
Because it's, wow.
Maybe we'll invite Angelo, too. Get him schooled up. Angelo's in the booth there like, what?
Tony D'Angelo?
No. Our fine producer.
I was kidding.
Our fine producer, Angelo. So there we go. We'll all have a little wrestling party.
He's a little Vegas homie, though, because, he's got the Raiders cap, the Knights jersey.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see Will Ospreay on this card. I don't know who's going to wrestle. I don't care. Because, folks, if you haven't
Orange Cassidy's who he's wrestling.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They ran in fear from Orange Cassidy. It was funny you mentioned that. I wouldn't run in fear from Orange Cassidy.
No, but the Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, who else is on his side?
Oh, in the Jericho Appreciation Society?
Yeah. Sammy Guevara, now a member of the Jericho. But he also got guys lent to him for this 6-man tag team match, right? Or 8-man tag team match.
This whole thing's crazy. I got it here somewhere.
It's awesome. But really quickly, because we were talking WWE, and I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss this opportunity.
Sure.
Friday night, SmackDown. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, the Riddle Roman Reigns match. Absolutely phenomenal.
Riddle is well on his way.
He really
is.
is.
It just still blows me away. I just saw him as just this dopey guy, and he was making Goldberg and Lesnar mad, and shooting his mouth off. And I'm just like, this guy is just a clod.
The promo at the beginning when he had him play Randy Orton's music,
he's on.
He really is. And then, like I said, the match itself, and he gave an amazing RKO in the middle of a spear.
And you know who they're forgetting about, and sort of, is Bobby Lashley. Man, get Bobby Lashley in there with Roman Reigns.
Well, right now they got Lashley and Austin Theory.
That I don't care about.
No, not at all. The problem is, you're right. There are only X amount of guys who are credible opponents for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and
Lashley is definitely one of them.
And that's creative's fault that they haven't built people up.
But that's also why we saw Brock Lesnar for the first time since WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I was surprised. But it's funny because I think that was almost done this week just to distract. It's kind of a wag the dog thing.
Yes and no, because you kind of knew it had to be happening. They're in where he lives. They were in Minnesota.
That's general area, but he's in South Dakota. That's it.
Oh, is he in South Dakota now? I thought
he lives in South Dakota.
He won the
so
NCAA championship.
That's it. Yeah, he went to Minnesota. So it's upper Midwest, but that's still.
No, I know.
I'm sure he is a gem.
The other thing they set up, and I want to know what your thoughts on this are: Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin.
No,
because you know that's coming.
No,
did you not see what happened on SmackDown?
I know, but no.
I love Pat McAfee.
I love Pat McAfee. That's why I don't want this match to happen.
Because he's not a face announcer, nor is he a heel announcer. He just cheers who he likes.
Yeah. Oh, no. No. Can't do it. Of course, this is the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN 101.5 FM 720 AM. Andrew Fain sitting across from me over there. I am Mark Hoke. I mean, we're not just going to randomly name the show after somebody.
Oh, and going back and forth to shows, I know the match on Wednesday, the hair versus hair match, Ortiz versus Jericho, fantastic match.
AEW just keeps it rolling, and
they really. And I'm not an AEW fan.
Yes, you. Why don't you just admit it?
Because
I'm so tired of you coming into this show. I'm not AEW, but you keep saying these matches are great. Because just come with us and enjoy all of wrestling.
Because they are having great matches, but. I think that they're getting too big for their britches in a certain extent. I think they're bigger. They think they're bigger than they are.
But they are also starting to do some global things, getting out and expanding where they're doing shows. It was funny. I didn't realize they hadn't done anything in LA until just recently.
I just don't. So, my issue with them is I think they're spreading themselves too thin, and at some point it's going to bite them in the butt.
And they'll figure it out.
We already talked about it last week with the amount of titles they have now.
Yeah, they've got to get Ring of Honor out of there and make that a separate promotion, but I'm sure they're just trying to work on it.
Why not give Friday Night Rampage to Ring of Honor? Make it Ring of Honor Rampage, so you have a Ring of Honor show on Fridays and you have Dynamite on Wednesdays.
I don't know. They've almost created a niche with some of the wrestlers on Rampage, so I don't know if they want to do that. I don't know. You got to imagine there's going to be some TV network that would love to have.
No, and this is why also AEW, the one thing they did that I thought was absolutely stupid and ridiculous on Wednesday was the Wardlow versus 20 security guards.
Yeah, it was silly.
You knew, first of all,
it was silly.
There's no way they're going to beat. They could book them to beat Wardlow, and they just made the security guards look like idiots.
Well. But everybody makes the security guards.
And I still never understood the point of having security guards because they always look bad.
The funny thing is when I was at the AEW shows here in town, their actual security team most of them are bigger than the wrestlers. If they came up to me and said, "Excuse me, sir," I'd be like, "Yes, hi." Hands by my sides, big smile on my face, like, what can I do for you?
And just so people know, the security guards you see on TV are generally local jobbers.
Right. It's either trainees or something like that. AEW's actual team that they take around with them, dude.
Wasn't Sammy Guevara a security guard for WWE?
I don't know.
I mean, a security guard, not a real security guard.
He might have. I think everybody has gotten a cup of coffee in WWE at some point.
Because I know, like, Sasha Banks and Charlotte were Triple H's girls in a WrestleMania entrance.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, Punk's done that. Cena's done that. I forgot that there was another one.
Braun Strowman was a member of Adam. What's his name? No. Leo Kroger became.
The dude.
That had the party
crazy people. Yeah.
And Adam sure Braun Strowman was one of those guys.
Now that's terrible that I can't remember that.
And they have a big event coming there in July, I think, or maybe it's later than that. That Authors of Pain are the guys in charge of the promotion.
Oh yeah, they're doing something.
And
in August.
Braun Strowman's wrestling in that.
Okay, that's cool. Well, by the way, a couple smaller
like I said, I'm
stories.
all over the map. I'm sorry.
It's okay. A couple of smaller stories I wanted to make sure that we mentioned. The wrestling world lost a very popular personality over the past few days as
Earl Hebner. Dave Hebner.
Don't kill them both.
Yeah, just one of them.
Dave Hebner died last Friday at the age of 73, of course, longtime referee and road agent for WWE, and was part of
one of the greatest storylines.
And obviously the most viewed match in professional wrestling history.
Is it really the most viewed match?
Yeah, they had 33 million people watch that match.
Oh,
the
wow.
Hulk Hogan Andre the Giant title change, where they had the referee that had, quote, plastic surgery that Ted DiBiase bought. And a lot of people didn't know that the Hebners were twins, Dave and Earl. So, of course, that whole thing, that was something else. But Dave was, very popular as an official, and he will be missed. Of course, Earl was the one that counted Hogan out. He was the fake referee.
I thought Dave was the fake referee.
No, it was the referee in the ring was Earl Hebner at that time. So,
okay.
But, yeah. So wrestling says goodbye to one of the Hebner twins. And those guys, fantastic. And, it's amazing the role of officials. And people don't realize how important they are. It's not just somebody in there that's kind of goofing around and acting. I mean, they are facilitators in the ring.
Yeah,
they're the communication people between.
And the big name ones, Mike Chioda, the Charles Robinson, Little Nate.
Yeah, and these guys are pivotal to what goes on in the ring. If you don't know that, they're usually wearing earpieces and they are relaying information back and forth.
Yeah, they're the ones that have to tell Cesaro and Grand Metalik, this match, Vince McMahon thinks this is the worst match in history. End it now.
Yes. So officials do a lot more than just running around counting 1, 2, 3 and yelling. They are very, very important in the role of professional wrestling. So, yeah. So we got to say goodbye to the Heb Man. Pretty sad news there. By the way, don't forget Slammiversary is tonight for Impact.
I did not. What's on the card?
Let's see. We got women's tag team championship match. Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood defending the titles against Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. Sami Callihan and Moose are on that one. We've got the Impact Originals taking on the Honor No More guys. So it's a Ring of Honor versus Impact match. The Briscoes are taking on the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag Team Championships. There's a whole lot. Josh Alexander, Eric Young. So decent card tonight.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, decent card. Joe's got one tonight, too, down at FSW. So if you want to check that out.
Which is an even better card.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. So go to fswvegas.com to get the details on that. Also want to mention, we have an Ice Pack of the Week award to give out. That's right. Fish is looking at
I didn't know we were starting to give out an Ice Pack of the Week. It's the inaugural.
This is a new one. And we want to wish Kyle O'Reilly all the best. If you did not see, of course, he had an encounter with Sting.
Yes, he did.
On Rampage. And Sting Kyle O'Reilly was going to interfere in a match between Darby Allin and Bobby Fish. O'Reilly was waiting at a chair. And Sting popped up, returning from his injury, had a baseball bat, and let him have it in the Huevos Rancheros. And then while the bat was impaled between Mr. O'Reilly's legs, Sting hit the bat again.
Ouch.
So, unfortunately, today, Mr. O'Reilly is reporting on Twitter, or reported yesterday, quote, shameful and disgusting act by the man called Sting. Here I am, a fan about to offer him a seat. He isn't a spring chicken, let's face it, and he twisted his ankle, I think. And what do I get to show for it? Swollen testes. Absolutely uncalled for. So we would like to wish a happy Father's Day to Kyle O'Reilly's man jewels. We hope you will recover soon. Ice him down, buddy. Take it easy.
So I was talking about the Authors Band. I just wanted to look it up. They're called the Wrestling Entertainment Series.
Okay.
And this is their card. This is the card that they have coming up. The main event is, it's too fast. We're done. The main event is Moose versus Alistair Overeem, and you got Nia Jax's going to be fighting Lana in that as well. Oh. So, there's some big names in this thing. But Nia Jax is going by her real name, Lena Fanene.
Oh, there you go.
And it's versus CJ Perry, which is Lana.
Nice. So check that out. Hey, don't forget to check out all of our social media on Twitter, Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show. markhokeshow.com. And, of course, download those podcasts from all over the world. We do appreciate every one of you doing it. markhokeshow.podbean.com. All sorts of, Turkey just came on board and so on. It's been pretty cool. So
The gobbledygooker.
we thank you for listening, everybody. We will see you next week and probably again on Saturday night. Fish, real fast. I got like 8 seconds.
Acknowledge us.
Oh, good Lord. Have a great Father's Day, everybody. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.